Hello, my name is Holly Watson and I'm a Senior Investment Manager in the Scotland team at the National Lottery Heritage Fund, and I'm based in Edinburgh. I'm going to be speaking to you today about the National Lottery Heritage Fund, our priorities, what funding we have available, and in particular our support for landscape projects. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the Coir Cynasant Living Landscape Partnership team for inviting me along to speak here today, and to congratulate them on such a successful project. It has been a pleasure for the National Lottery Heritage Fund to support this landscape partnership with a grant of £2.9 million. I'm sure many of you will have heard of us, but for those of you that don't know much about the fund, I'll provide a quick introduction. The National Lottery Heritage Fund has been around since 1994, and you may remember us from our previous name, the Heritage Lottery Fund, or HLF. We're the largest dedicated funder of heritage in the UK, and we distribute national lottery funds to good causes. In Scotland, we are one of 4 national lottery distributors, along with the National Lottery Community Fund, Sport Scotland and Creative Scotland. Our remit is to fund projects that connect people and communities to heritage, and our current strategic funding framework was launched in 2019 and runs until 2024. So we fund the full breadth of heritage and leave it to applicants to define what heritage means for them and why it is important to their communities. We fund everything from oral history projects to nature conservation and museums to historic building restoration. Landscape partnerships, which are area-based schemes delivering a range of projects, are excellent examples of the breadth of heritage we fund. The Coir Cynasant Living Landscape Partnership, for example, has a wealth of different projects covering all different areas of heritage, from the fantastic restoration of Clactor Broch, outdoor learning sessions, to habitat and access improvements, and really shows you the diversity of projects that we can fund. So inclusion needs to lie at the heart of all the projects we fund. Under our current framework, we ask every project we support to achieve our mandatory inclusion outcome. A wider range of people will be involved in heritage. We expect all projects to take steps to reach out to new people in a way that is realistic and proportionate to their circumstances. We have a particular focus on reaching those millions of people in the UK who are typically underrepresented in heritage, including disabled people, young people, people from minority ethnic and LGBT+ communities, and people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. By the end of the project, the people benefiting from heritage should be more diverse than when the project started. When we launched our current framework back in 2019, we set out our key priorities for funding for the next 5 years. These priorities are heritage at risk, whether this be decaying or neglected sites, habitats or species in decline, or heritage at risk due to financial insecurity. We also have community heritage as a priority, and we've made it a more straightforward process for applying for smaller grants, as well as larger projects being able to include a community grant scheme. Last but not least, we also prioritise landscapes and nature, and recognition of high biodiversity and environmental need at the moment. We seek to support projects that deliver nature's recovery, nature-based solutions, and reconnecting people with nature. We are one of the UK's largest investors in landscapes and nature, and since being established back in 1994, we have spent £202 million on landscapes and nature in Scotland alone. Most recently, we announced £50 million worth of investments through our Heritage Horizons Awards for major grants of more than £5 million. 5 were awarded across the UK, 3 of which were for large-scale landscape and nature projects. In Scotland, the Cairngorms National Park Authority was awarded a development phase grant for a large landscape scale project across the Cairngorms National Park. This project will work with 45 different partners to tackle the climate emergency and biodiversity crisis and empower local communities as our landscape's changing. So we're here today to celebrate the Coed Cynasyn Living Landscape Partnership, which is a project which was funded through our Landscape Partnership programme, and you can see a selection of images from the various landscape partnerships we funded on the slide here. An important part of these projects is the conference, like we have today, to encourage sharing of learning. So it'll be great to hear all of the conversations, the sharing of learning that comes out of today's session. We have had a large number of landscape partnership projects in Scotland, I think over 22, and this strategic partnership approach has always been a real strength. We have found that working across a landscape area and investing strategically creates greater multiple benefits, and this partnership model of collaboration can be a great vehicle for community empowerment, regeneration and supporting heritage, as well as establishing structures to sustain these benefits beyond completion of the projects. When our current funding framework was launched, we did stop the Landscape Partnership Scheme, and the reason for this was because we had moved to a simplified application process, which was based very much on grant amount rather than type of project. However, I must stress that we still very much support landscape partnership style projects and area-based schemes, and we welcome people to apply for these types of projects. We have area scheme guidance, which is available on our website, to deliver landscape type projects, as well as a means to include community grants programmes. And I know that for this project, community grants have been a really successful element. For example, recently we have funded a development phase grant for a landscape partnership style project along the Tweed and the Borders under our current open programmes. So it's more than possible to apply for landscape partnership style schemes under our current programme. So as I just mentioned, we now have a much more streamlined single grants programme called National Lottery Grants for Heritage. And this means that there's proportionate requirements depending on the level of funding you are applying for. All funding decisions up to £5 million are now delegated to Scotland, with our head of investment is able to take decisions up to £250,000, with a rolling deadline for grants under this amount, so you can apply at any time. For grants over £250,000, a decision is made by our Committee for Scotland, and they meet quarterly to take decisions, and our deadlines for applying for these grants are quarterly, with about a 12-week turnaround for assessment. So we assess applications based on how well they achieve our outcomes. We describe outcomes as changes, impacts or benefits that happen as a direct result of your project. All projects must meet our mandatory outcome of involving a wider range of people with heritage. We have 9 outcomes, however, it is very much about delivering outcomes relevant to your project to a high level rather than trying to meet all 9 of our outcomes. Following the onset of the pandemic, we realised that we need to revisit our outcomes due to the changing world around us, and have since prioritised 6 of them in response to the changing needs due to COVID. In addition to the mandatory outcome, we also prioritise projects which meet any of the following outcomes: boosting the local economy, supporting people in achieving greater wellbeing, improving your local area, developing people's skills, and building organisational resilience. Also, since COVID, we ask that all projects factor in any COVID-associated risks to their project plan, and we will be as flexible as possible with any issues caused by COVID, as we recognise that the disruption this causes to a lot of projects and their proposals. Finally, we ask for all projects to do their very best to help mitigate against and adapt to the effects of changing climate. Regardless of the size of the project, all projects must limit any potential damage on the environment and make a positive impact on the environment, particularly for nature. We have some good guidance on our website on embedding environmental sustainability into your project. We have a partnership with Fit for the Future, which is an organisation which helps our applicants embed environmental sustainability within projects, and you can include the membership fee in your project costs. We want to be able to demonstrate the enormous impact National Ostrich funding delivers for people and communities across the UK. We have set ourselves 6 strategic objectives, which you can see listed here on this slide, for the lifetime of our strategic funding framework. And we have some clear key performance indicators that will be simple to track. And so we'll be reporting on progress of meeting these objectives as we go through our framework. And I hope today this has provided a really useful overview of the fund's support and our priorities, and outlining our continuing commitment to landscape and nature and schemes such as the successful Coiach and Nascent Landscape Partnership. So finally, I just want to say thank you very much for listening to me today. Here is our website and Twitter handle here. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have in the upcoming Q&A session. Thank you.